So one of the topics that comes up over and over and over again is cat litter. And of course it should, because cats need cat litter. If you have a cat, you can't get away from cat litter unless your cat is living outdoors and they just use the soil to go to the bathroom. So that's something where we need to look at. We look at environmental toxins for cats' health. We look at everything else, the food, everything else that could be going into your pet's health. And cat litter is something that your cat is going to come into contact with every single day. So if we're using a cat litter that has chemicals in it or has a lot of dust, your cat is going to be breathing that in. Now, if your cat has health issues, so say they have asthma, they have allergies, they have sensitivities, and they're breathing in that dust, we have a problem. So we need to look at what are the best alternatives for our cats that are going to be the safest. And so what I did is I went through and looked at all the different brands. There's a lot of different brands, but I'm going to cover some of the ones that popped up over and over and over again that have been reviewed by pets. So cats approved of them, meaning that they use the litter. They've been approved by veterinarians. They've also been approved from a more holistic approach, because that's key, right? That's why we're here. We want to avoid those environmental toxins and help our pets to live a long and vibrant life. So some of the brands that popped up for cat litter are your world's best was a common theme amongst like holistic vets, people wanting more natural cat litter. And it's actually a corn-based cat litter. And what's really interesting, it's actually flushable. So you can flush it down the toilet, supposedly. And so it's more environmental friendly. It has less dust. So if you've ever had a cat that goes in the litter tray, they're kicking up the storm, right? They're getting going. And then they come out and they're like white. And you're like, oh, that's not good. So this is all of these recommendations, all of these different brands are going to have lower dust, because that's really, really important. There's already enough in the environment. We don't need your cat to be breathing in the dust into their body. So world's best corn cat litter. The other brands that kept coming up were Arm & Hammer, Clump & Seal. And I believe one of the people in our community actually asked about that brand too. So that came up. These are all right now, these are all the clumping brands. So studies have actually shown that cats prefer unscented and clumping cat litters with like fine, so not big clumps. Some of them are hard rocks. And if you think about it, your cat's walking on this and they're digging it, and it can actually get stuck in their paws. It can cause irritation. It can be really painful for them. And so we want to be looking for the more finely ground up clays potentially. And so these ones right now are going to be covering all of that, ticking all those boxes. So Tidy Cats, lightweight, free and clean, unscented. So remember, we don't want scent in these litter trays. So when we use artificial fragrances, not only do our cats not tolerate it very well, but think about it. Their sense of smell is so strong, and they're going in there and they're digging it up. They're inhaling all of that. And why do we use the scented? It's for us, right? We don't want the litter to smell bad. So let's do our job and clean the litter tray every single day, maybe even twice a day. I know if one of my cats poops in the litter tray, I want to clean that right away. Just think about us. Who enjoys going into a porta potty? No one. Are you crazy if you do? So we don't want the litter tray to turn into a porta potty for our cats and smell like one, because then what happens is we get inappropriate urination in the house. They're peeing on the carpet, they're peeing in your shoes, they're peeing on your bed. And now it's like, oh, is it a behavioral problem, or is there something actually going on medically that now we have to go into the vet, figure it out? And it may all be because we're not using the right litter. Our cat doesn't like it, doesn't like the texture, doesn't like the smell. So one of the ones that I've been using recently for my cats that I actually really like, less dust, it doesn't smell, it's easy to scoop up, is Dr. Elsie. So they actually have, that company has a couple different products in Dr. Elsie's brand. So we have Cat Attract. So if you have a kitten or you have a cat that's having a difficult time going to the litter tray and using the litter box, and you've ruled out like a urinary tract infection, urinary problems, kidney disease, other problems that can cause inappropriate urination or them to not use the litter tray appropriately, you can use a cat attract. And it's supposed to attract them back into the litter box. The one that we use for our cat, so we have a senior cat, we have a crazy kitten, we use the Ultra Multi-Cat brand from Dr. Elsie's, and I like it because there's not a lot of dust. I've used some brands where you're scooping up the, like even just you scooping up the poop and the pee clumps, you're getting covered in dust and you're inhaling that. So that's not good for anyone. So the nice thing about Dr. Elsie's too is it's 99% dust free, has one ingredient, which is a natural clay. We're going to talk about clays and some of the problems with that too in a second. One of the other brands that popped up for our clumping litters is Ruruva. So they actually have food that they sell for cats. And the Ruruva, it's a tea potty. So I thought that was cute. But anyways, this is a more natural, environmental friendly cat litter. And it doesn't contain that sodium bentonite clay that can be toxic to cats if they ingest it. And this is why that sodium bentonate clay is a common clay that's used for the clumping. It clumps really well, clumps really tightly. It doesn't break apart. However, like if you were to flush that down your toilet, it's going to plug all the plumbing in your house. It's like cement. So when we think about our cats groom, right? They naturally groom their body. So we don't want all this dust. We don't want the clay being stuck to their paws, because if they ingest those clay products and it's a sodium bentonite clay, what is that doing to their digestion? Is it blocking them up? Potentially. Now there's mixed opinions about this. So that's something where we want to see, do these products have sodium bentonite clay? Are they using more natural clays? Or does your cat like some of these other alternatives? So some of the other brands that you can use, so a non-clumping brand, and where we would use this typically is for your cat's just had a neuter procedure, it's just been spayed, maybe they have a skin infection that we're trying to avoid, like the clay and the dust and all the things sitting on those incision sites or on the irritated skin. So Purina Yesterday's News is a brand that's not clumping, but it's pretty much newspaper in pellet form. So it doesn't clump. But this can also be important if you have a cat where you need to monitor the urine output. So you have a diabetic cat, you have a kidney disease cat, and you want to know, are they filling up the litter box with urine? Because it can be really difficult if you're using a clumping litter to tell if that cat is having too much urine output, or are they steady? Are they okay? If you have a diabetic cat and they become unregulated, you will see more urine in the litter box. So those non-clumping litters are going to be beneficial for those cats that have those health conditions, where we do want to be monitoring water intake, urine output, and making sure that everything is staying nice and steady. Now, this litter is really cool. And I am going to buy a bag of this and try it out for my cats, because I have a senior cat who had mildly elevated kidney values when we adopted her a few months ago. And then we have a kitten who has some health conditions, cerebellar hypoplasia, which doesn't necessarily affect quality of life. But if we can use litter as markers of the internal health of your cat, how cool is that? So there's a cat litter called Pretty Litter, and it's a silica-based gel crystal. And what it does is it actually absorbs the liquids versus actually clumping it. So you don't smell it. You don't like scoop it out. It's like it's all contained in these little silica gel crystals, which is crazy. You only scoop out the solid waste, so like the poop, and then you flush it down the toilet. So it's more environmentally friendly too. I want to look more into this and see what some of the other opinions are out there, see if cats are actually utilizing this litter too, because remember, texture is everything. Whether we're feeding cats food, whether we're using litter tray, if we find something that your cat doesn't like, then they're not going to use the litter. So I definitely, with this Pretty Litter, what's really cool is that they use, so the silica gel crystals will change color based on like the pH of the urine. So there's like a chemical reaction happening in these gel crystals based on certain enzymes, pH of the urine, to indicate if your cat's more likely to have a bacterial like urinary tract infection, kidney disease. So it can help us identify if there's a health problem. And there's less dust associated with this also. So stay tuned when I get that. I'll try it out and share it with you guys in my opinion. But otherwise, I like the Dr. Elsie's. It's not covering my cats in dust. They like it. So the other thing too, when you're trying these different litters, if you decide to try something different with your cats, have a couple different litter trays with the old litter and then the new litter. So that way, in case they don't like it, you aren't going to create a problem in the house where they're going and they're peeing on the carpet, on your bed, in your shoes, whatever cats like to do when they're feeling like, I don't like this, I'm going to go do that. So those are a few things about cat litter. Now, some of the other ones that tend to be more natural. So corn-based, also wheat-based. There's a sweet, so I believe it was SWHEAT, Scoop, and that's a wheat-based one. So if your cat has sensitivities to wheat, that would be something where I'd be like, maybe there could be a problem with absorption into the skin through the paw pads, but a lot of people had really good success with that. And it doesn't have the bentonite clays that we're worried, the sodium bentonite clays that can be toxic to them too. And then also Only Natural Pet had some cat litter options too that are more organic, more natural. And then there's the pine litters too. Biggest things with those like pine litters and some of the other natural options, you want to make sure they don't smell too strong. If they smell too strong, once again, your cat will be like, nope, not using this. And then we have other problems. So that's my take on cat litters. You do sometimes need to experiment and find what works best for your cats. But otherwise, sticking with some of these more natural dust-free or really low dust, like 99.9% dust-free options are going to be better for your cat's health. Hey pet parents, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, would you please hit the subscribe button below and post any questions you have down below. Also, if you'd like to join us on our next live training to learn more about holistic health in your pets, then click the link to join our Natural Pet Tribe to gain access to live videos every month with me and the ability to ask me questions. I'd love to give you more education and interaction to help your pets thrive naturally. Until next time, please subscribe and share this video with other pet parents that may need help and guidance to help their furry family members live a long and vibrant life. Thanks again for being a part of our community.